Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Pat Grote, Executive Director for Iowa International Center. We're really happy to have you with us today to talk about Welcome English. It's a new opportunity for English language learners to have more chances to learn English all across the state. So I am not going to take up much of your time other than to say thank you again and to welcome a great team who's working on this project. And I think we'll just move on from there. Elise, do you have a team slide for me?
I do.
Maybe? Here we are. So you already heard me talk about Elise Pate, and she's with Iowa International Center. We've got Karen Kelly and Karen Crosby. Many of you will already know these names and these people for the great work that they do in the ELL community in Des Moines, and we are hoping to expand that beyond Des Moines. I really don't have anything more to say. I can be a cheerleader all the way along. I think this is a great program. We're very excited to be part of it, and I am going to turn it over, and we'll get to the real details. Thank you.
Elise, you're going to need to turn on your microphone.
I got right into it and wasn't even looking. Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Pate. I am the program director for Welcome English AmeriCorps, and I am really excited to have you all here today. Just so you know, we are recording this session for anyone who can't make it. So as we go through the presentation, if you guys have any questions, you can write them in the Q&A and we'll answer them at the end. I'll read them aloud so everyone can hear them as well. Just a few things on the agenda today. We're going to, I don't know if you guys can enter your name and institution, but if you can, that would be great. We'll introduce you to this program and to AmeriCorps if you're unfamiliar with it. And we'll also look at a few resources and why you should consider participating as a host site. We'll do some Welcome English AmeriCorps basics about the program itself and the timelines. And we'll go a little bit deeper. That'll be where we get into the more details about what AmeriCorps members can do at your organization and the benefits that they will receive, just so you have a fuller picture of what that looks like. When we talk about participation information, we'll go into how members are eligible to serve, and we'll talk about we'll examine a little bit about if your site is ready to host members. And then finally, we'll have time, like I mentioned earlier, for questions and answers. Let's get going. So, like I said, getting started. So I am with Iowa International Center. You can see our mission right here is to enrich lives and build pathways to prosperity. So many of you are already familiar with IIC, but very briefly, we have been around for more than 80 years, serving international people in Iowa and abroad. We currently have a variety of programs focused on creating global community, and that includes our global languages programs, which help break down language barriers through interpretation, translation, and ELL, which we're talking about today. I'm really excited to add Welcome English AmeriCorps to the mix and bring more ELL opportunities to more learners across the state. That is us in a nutshell. And obviously, I'm more than happy to talk more about it if you guys have specific questions about our organization. But let's talk about AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is very personal to me. I was an AmeriCorps member with Iowa International Center, in fact, back in 2018. So AmeriCorps members, it's a federal program, and members serve as volunteers in programs that are trying to solve community problems. So it's very, in AmeriCorps state, very hands-on work, very connected to the people that they are trying to serve. So AmeriCorps members are really passionate and they are committed, and they're really an asset to an organization. You might not even, if you are familiar with AmeriCorps, you might not even know that it's actually the largest national service organization. So it's bigger than, outside the military, it's bigger than even Peace Corps, which tends to get a little more recognition, I think. So the support is all over for AmeriCorps, and we run into people, I think, I run into people constantly that AmeriCorps has touched their lives or they have been a part of it. And if you're not familiar with it, that's okay. We're about to do a really simple 2 to 3 minute video with a little background about AmeriCorps. Sorry, I forgot to hit that.
So you have questions about AmeriCorps? Well, you've come to the right place, because we're here to help. First off, let's clear up one thing right away. You might be wondering how to say or spell AmeriCorps. Sometimes people pronounce the P, but don't make that same mistake. AmeriCorps is alive and well, just spelled with a silent P. So think of Apple Core or Core of the Earth. Now that we have that clear, what exactly is AmeriCorps anyways? AmeriCorps is simply Americans of all ages and backgrounds dedicating their time and skills to get things done. There we go. So how does AmeriCorps get things done? More than 80,000 Americans across the country join AmeriCorps each year, and all of them are tackling different problems in different ways. For example, AmeriCorps members help families attain affordable homes. They mentor students so that they stay in school. Perhaps there is a tornado, a flood, a forest fire, or a hurricane. AmeriCorps members also help communities recover from disasters. There's so many more things that AmeriCorps members do, but if we said it all, we'd be here all day. Why do we call them members, you ask? AmeriCorps members spend anywhere from 3 months to a year dedicating their time and skills to serve. They can volunteer with nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and community and faith-based organizations. And in case you were wondering, there are a few perks AmeriCorps members get, including money to pay for college, student loan deferment, training, living allowance, health benefits, and job opportunities with leading employers. Not too bad, right? All right. What's the purpose of AmeriCorps? Like the military or the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps is a way to serve your country. AmeriCorps members make Americans safer, stronger, and healthier, and they strengthen our communities. But above all, AmeriCorps members get things done. That's it. That's what AmeriCorps is. Learn more about AmeriCorps at AmeriCorps.gov.
I hope that was enlightening for for those of you who weren't familiar. I'm actually going to hand it over to Karen Kelly now to talk a little bit more about the program.
Yes, now that we all know how to spell AmeriCorps, I also wanted to mention,
So you have questions about AmeriCorps?
Technical difficulties. Thanks, Elise. I served as an AmeriCorps volunteer after I graduated from college in a literacy program in my local school district. I got to create reading clubs for kids and do extra math support. So that was my first introduction to the AmeriCorps service model. The video does a great job sharing about a little bit more about AmeriCorps, but take a look at this slide here and you can see that there's a lot of big organizations that are part of this whole structure of AmeriCorps. So from the federal level, the Corporation for National and Community Service, that's based, of course, in DC, and we have a regional office in Kansas City. They pass the funding along to state commissions. Iowa's is called the Iowa Commission on Volunteer Service, or Volunteer Iowa. They then work with grantees, of which the Iowa International Center is one for this Welcome English AmeriCorps program. And then Iowa International Center works with host sites across the state. So maybe that will be one of you here on the call to then have host AmeriCorps service members, who are individuals who are devoting either a year of their lives to national service or less time, depending on what option they choose. Right. Before we get too deep into this, please note that we do now have a website called welcomeenglishiowa.org. You can find all of the information that we'll be referencing here on that website, as well as a tutorial for the application that will be required for host sites, and the program manual that really gets into the nuts and bolts of all things AmeriCorps. You can also find on our Welcome English Iowa site a link to a Calendly appointment making service. You can go ahead and use that link if you'd like to dig a little deeper with me as you consider your options for hosting this program and hosting an AmeriCorps service member at your site. So just so you know, that's out there now. Okay. Before we get into this, I would like to just take a moment and recognize the immense importance of English language learning in our community today. We've all been aware of the scenes from Afghanistan and Ukraine and the growing refugee crisis across the globe. We know here in Iowa that this is not new, and we have many folks from many different countries who have already resettled here and have made their home here in Iowa. Language, of course, is one of the first things that people recognize that they need, and it's a great gateway to helping folks access other opportunities as they grow and learn, and also is a great way for those of us who are from Iowa or from the US to really use our skills with the English language to help the community. We also know that there's volunteer sites, church groups, etc., who are already running programs because they see that there's a need and it's an opportunity to serve. We really want to support those grassroots opportunities by creating a program that helps with that program management. Not quite the volunteer management, the ELL program management, sorry. I love this. So we know that in order to be successful, the program must be administered properly. So think about all the things that a student might need to do before they are sitting at a table and learning English in a classroom. Many programs need to keep attendance, need to know who's in the classes and when, and also keep track of how that student is progressing. So this program will help relieve some of the burdens of all of these administrative duties by having a member who is prepared to either assist or take over some of those activities, again, related to registration, assessment, and progress. All right, let's talk about volunteer management. Another way that this program will help is by supporting your volunteer management. In Iowa, most community-based ELL programs rely on a group of dedicated and passionate volunteers to provide instruction. But how much are we supporting these volunteers, and do they have the support that they need to be successful? As a volunteer teacher, you might be prepping lessons, figuring out when or how to use technology, stay current on best practices or new curriculum that's out there. And that all takes a lot of time. And for a volunteer, that time may not be available. But again, this is where a member from Welcome English AmeriCorps can step in, help prepare activities, help prep lessons, and share best practices, as well as other teaching tips and tricks. Also, the members can help with volunteer management activities, including recruitment and the training of teachers. The members can also help with creating a volunteer teacher schedule, filling in the classroom as they're needed. And again, this really frees up your program to focus on the other aspects of making a successful program. And then we also are hoping to enhance curriculum across the state with this program. I myself started teaching English as a second language to refugees and immigrants in a church basement program as a volunteer 20 some years ago in downtown Minneapolis. And as a volunteer teacher, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just had a lot of time and enthusiasm. And I spent a lot of time searching for resources and cutting things and making games and really doing a lot of free work for my service because I really cared about it. This AmeriCorps program will help kind of ease the burden of that search for curriculum because we now know that there are standards for adult education and adult learning. Karen Crosby and myself both have education and background in teaching adult English language learners, and we really want to make sure that we create and develop curriculum and provide curriculum that gets results for all the learners in your program. So in our program, we'll be using a series that's very well loved in the adult ELL community. It's called Ventures, and it also includes ways that you can modify lessons. It also includes fun and engaging activities that students can use for practice. In the program, lower level learners will learn at your site so that they are allowed more personalized attention. We know that that's really important at the beginning stages of English. Then by participating in Welcome English AmeriCorps as a host site, you can also enroll higher level students in virtual classes. These are going to be taught by teachers in training who are members serving at a local college or university. These courses will be offered both in the mornings and evenings, different days of the week to accommodate different learner schedules. And finally, the Welcome English AmeriCorps members will teach conversation classes at your site and also use help from the volunteers that they've recruited and trained. We've really tried to create a program that helps both our lower level learners and high level non-native speakers to practice listening and speaking, and as well as anyone who wants to continue to gain schools once they've exited out of traditional ELL classes at community colleges or other institutions across the state. Okay, so basically, we're just trying to do everything here. We really want to increase the persistence and success of students learning in adult ELL programs across Iowa. We know that there's a need, there's a lot of eagerness of folks to learn English and have opportunities to grow and develop further. We also want to really create volunteer teachers with skills and knowledge in adult English language learning. We think this is a great opportunity for those who decide to become members to develop professionally and really learn about the field of teaching language and grow in their field as well. We know that this will help relieve host sites from all the administrative burdens of grant and ELL program management. We've worked in these programs. We know what it's like. We want to help. And we also really believe this is a great opportunity to attract ethnically and linguistically diverse individuals to the field of ELL teaching. We know if we pay attention to education in this state that there are not a lot of diverse teachers, and this is a pathway to help folks see themselves becoming a teacher and providing kind of an on-ramp to that opportunity. So I know that's a lot of information and you might have questions, and I would love to meet one-on-one with you as you're designing your program or as you're redesigning a program that maybe was on hiatus during our COVID pandemic. So please use the Calendly link. We can spend an hour or less or more, depending on how chatty you feel, about what's going on already in your world. If you've got things going on that you would like to improve upon or enhance, we can talk about that. Or if you're starting from scratch, we'll think about ideas together for how to collaborate with other community organizations and bring this opportunity to your organization. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Super job. Well, now we're going to get into the basics of the program so you can find out how you can participate. Hope you're all excited. Elise, do you want to forward the slide? Okay, so this is just an overview of the program and how it stands right now. Our program will begin in September of 2022. We believe we will get funding and it will begin at that time. We will find out for sure though mid-May, but like I said, we are very confident that funding will be received. So we're asking of sites and for you all to start applying now. However, we're trying to make sure that we get everybody in the pipeline and start recruiting members so that your members can start in September. So there's a little bit of we need a little bit of a lead time to get some of those things accomplished. Host sites are would be awarded this spring after you make your application. And then thereafter, you would apply annually. AmeriCorps grants usually run a 3-year cycle, but we are still required to resubmit applications every year, although they're a little bit shortened in subsequent years. Okay. Again, members, member start dates are somewhat flexible, but they'll be planned over the summer with Karen Kelly after you make your application. Members have a year to complete their service, so getting them started is very important. And then some of our members who are half-time may be working a shorter schedule. That might be some of the things that you can explore with Karen, though, as you have your meetings to talk about what that would look like for your organization. And then finally, as the program, you should know that members commit to a specific number of hours and term dates over the course of their service, and they're required to reach a service number of hours to successfully complete. They submit biweekly timesheets that you would be track and approve so that they can earn their education award at the end. Okay. Every site that participates has to have an assigned supervisor. So we are looking for supervisors at your site who want to mentor members. You know, many of our members will be right out of high school or maybe out of college, and they're exploring what to do with their, education or their career choices. So we're looking for host site supervisors who want to take on a role of helping our members make connections and to meet people in the community. So yeah, so that sounds like you. That would be awesome. And then just know that your members are not classified as an employee of your organization or AmeriCorps. They are officially called National Service members. So they get a special designation, which means some things for how they get paid and for workers' comp and unemployment insurance and things like that. But we'll get into that at a much later time. And then finally, with the program, there is a cost share required per member based on the position type that you request, and that's going to be covered at the end of this presentation. So just hold on to that question. Okay. Next is a roadmap to what this program is going to look like. So we're starting out with number 1 and hoping to do planning calls with Karen Kelly. And she mentioned how to get in touch with her if you want to talk about specifics at your organization. Then the second stop on our roadmap is May 1st, which we're hoping to get host site applications turned in around that date. You're under no obligation to apply and to participate if you apply, but we just need to get an idea of how many people are going to be interested and how many members we're going to be recruiting. So do think about turning it in on May 1st. Although you should know that we're actually going to continue to receive applications going forward until all of our positions are filled. So that's just our first to get in there, first come, first serve, target May 1st. We're looking at May 15th to let those people know what your award will be in terms of members. Remember, you don't receive money, you'll only receive people. So we'll be letting you know what people you might expect by the 15th. And then at the end of May, some additional planning meetings with Karen Kelly, and the host site agreement, which is a contract, has to be signed. And that all has to be taken care of before members start in the fall. And then May onward is recruiting time for members. It can take a little bit of time to find the right person. So we'll go through that process together, looking for a great person to fill your slot that you have at your site. And then mid-July, mark your calendars because we'll have a host site supervisor training at that time. And we have a little bit more roadmap to do. On September 6th, that's the earliest date that members can actually start serving. So right after Labor Day, which is, I know, when a lot of ESL classes will get underway, we want to have people out your site to help you get that ball rolling for the year. And then in September, sometime in September, there'll be another training that's for members to attend so they can learn all about their roles and what they do, just kick off the year, get everybody off to a great start. You should plan to attend with your member if possible or someone from your organization. And then members then on number 9 serve September through July at community-based sites. And if you're someone who's with the university on with us today, they will serve September through May for the academic year. So that's where we're going. The next section is a little bit about an overview of how members can help you and then what you get in return for participation. So this is very exciting. So our main activities, if you're a community-based organization, is this list of items. So they can do in our program there, we have to decide what members will be allowed to do. And these are the things we've settled on. Some of these will be required, but not all of them will be. So Karen and I will meet with you and Elise to decide what things that you're interested. Some of them will be required for our, we're required to turn in performance measures and track certain outcomes and outputs. So we'll be doing, those will be required. So these are the administrative things that a member can do. And then next, these are our instructional duties that members can perform. And that includes anything from teaching personally, and then I think probably most significantly is members are going to be helping plan and support your volunteers as they get started again. I know a lot of programs are beginning to gear up after a couple of years off and need to get new volunteers trained and get them with lesson plans and help them get started. So they're going to be doing a lot of things like that, and then of course tracking progress for our learners. So. And then finally is the volunteer component. So all AmeriCorps programs have to have volunteers involved in some manner, and that will be true here. So this again is a list that can include, but is not limited to these items. But just know if you don't have a current volunteer program attached to your ELO program, that we will help you implement that as classroom assistance or even administrative type help, but we will help you get volunteers up and running in those roles if you don't already. So those are some of the activities that they can perform. Oh, I forgot university. If you're with a university today, your members are going to be a little bit different. And so they'll only be doing instructional duties, and these are the things that they'll be doing at your organization. Okay. So this gets into some of the details, and we're not going to go over this extensively here today. Again, something you can talk to Karen Kelly about, but just know that we have different positions available, and depending on what you choose, if you choose, they'll have different hours requirements and different dates of service. So for example, full-time members will serve, if you're a community-based organization, they will serve 40 hours a week approximately for 1,700 hours over 48 weeks. Half of that for half-time members. And then for university, they're going to be, since they're students and teachers in training, they'll only be serving a minimum time slot, and they'll be doing about 10 hours per week over 300 hours or 35 weeks. With time off for spring break, which is super important. So, so we'll get more into that, but yes, and then members get benefits for serving. So that's one of the neat parts of AmeriCorps that was kind of touched on, that they don't get paid because that would be for an employee, but for national service members, they get paid a member a living allowance is what it's called, or we can call it a stipend. And so these are the different amounts that your member would make depending on what you decide to host at your site, anywhere from $20,000 pre-tax for full-time, half that for half-time, and then $2,550 for minimum time. So they're not going to make a lot of money doing this. It's an incentive for sure to participate, but this is paid volunteerism, basically, slightly paid. But it's very, very helpful to members, especially if we have students that are going to school or pursuing education, which is a second benefit. They would earn an education award upon successful completion of their hours requirement. And so you can see the amounts. Those are all that the education award could be applied right to their tuition payments or to pay off student loans if they've already graduated. So another great benefit from AmeriCorps. And then you can see that there's some other benefits too. Full-time members do get health coverage, so that's good to know. So, okay. And then lastly, another benefit we see as, really significant with this program is training and development. AmeriCorps, they're very strong into promoting members and helping them because they're only going to be with us for a year. And we want them to do great things after they are able to leave too. So we're going to be providing extensive training and professional development through this program, especially in the areas of language acquisition. But also, they're going to be receiving some prescribed courses that AmeriCorps requires. In addition, we are looking at, we're working with Iowa State to look at providing credit for students who are in the program. So that might look like a credit for a class they're taking, or potentially college credit. So they might get a couple of hours ISU credit for service. And then lastly, 7 colleges in Iowa already provide benefits to AmeriCorps members. They match education awards. So if a member completes their service, they earn $6,000 as a full-time member as the education award portion. That 7 colleges in Iowa will match that amount. So that's always good for members to know. And it's very popular. So, okay. So then lastly, we want to share a little bit about how you can participate and also how members can participate. So you might already be thinking of like somebody, I know somebody who might make a really awesome member. Well, we're going to go over that next. So for members, these are the requirements. Okay, so you have to be a U.S. citizen, U.S. national, or legal permanent resident. And I have to mention that DACA recipients are not eligible for service, unfortunately. That's something that probably will come up with our programs, that will have people that are interested, but at this time, they're not eligible. Members have to be at least 17 years old, although we're probably kind of be looking a little bit older than that because of what this members are going to be doing. We'll be looking for people who have an education background or interest in education. So it's mostly likely that we'll be looking for a little bit older members. There's no upper age limit. So I've actually managed AmeriCorps programs in the past, and I've had some, 75-year-olds serving, and they've been the best members that I ever had. So there is no upper age limit. They do have to pass criminal background checks to serve, including those 3 that you see there. So that's important. And then let's see, they will have to have, if they're not graduated from high school, they do need to be working on a GED during their service, and we'll support them in those efforts. So we may come across that with one of our goals in the program is to enroll members who come from the communities we serve. And if we have people that haven't yet received their high school diploma, they will help them get that, or an equivalent. Okay. And then for host sites, there's a few things that you have to think about as you apply. There's things you have to agree to as a part of the host site agreement that comes up later. For example, you will need to be able to provide members with the tools they need to do their assignments. So that might mean a computer, a printer, email, things of that nature. Members have to have a dedicated workspace, so they have to have somewhere to be at if they're at your organization, they have to have a desk, a place to work. We have to make sure our student and our member information is secured. So, if that can be just as simple as having a lock file with student information, but we do need to make sure that confidential information is kept so. And then you have to agree to use the student recruitment, enrollment, attendance, and learner outcome tools that we will be sharing with you at a much later time. But yeah, we're working on developing those, and You may already be doing something, which is awesome, and we will help convert or extend the work you're doing already to so we can report on outcomes for the grant. And then if you want to participate, we're asking that you would use the provided Ventures 3 curriculum that we're obtaining as part of this of the grant. That we'll be getting teachers' manuals and all the supporting documents. The only thing that your students are going to be responsible for is to pay a little bit of a fee for the textbooks. We will potentially have some scholarships available, so if that's a burden for students, we can help mitigate that. But trying to get everyone to have some skin in the game, which I think is helpful with ESL classes and attendance going forward. Let's see, next, we will ask that you post your class schedules on your website and to share them with us. And then we are asking that you allow any member that you host to attend mandatory trainings with us and the professional development, which is mostly going to be on Canvas online. So it's not going to be a traveling thing. A lot of programs, if you're familiar with AmeriCorps, members have to travel to trainings, but now that we've gone through COVID, we all know how wonderful, at least mostly wonderful, online trainings can be. So we're going to be doing a lot of them online. And then finally, we are asking that members facilitate a Succeed with Volunteers training for your staff to just enhance the volunteer management. And there's a course that's been developed by Volunteer Iowa that we're going to implement. It's very short, just something to do at your staff meetings that they'll be asked to do. So those are the eligibility requirements. Oh, there's a couple more. We have to do background checks for staff and for members particularly. And we also have to agree to do the timekeeping, performance measure tracking, branding, and program monitoring. That will be a part of this grant. And finally, you have to agree, I think this is finally, to designate a supervisor who is willing to act as a mentor for your member. Yes, that's all. So, well, it's not all. The last thing is cost share. And want to talk a little bit about what that's going to look like. So we are, as I mentioned earlier, we find out in May what our grant award is. So at this current time, we think the cost share will be approximately $6,000 for a full-time member, and it will be prorated for the other types. But we just want you to know that we know that, it's hard to come up with that match depending on your size of organization and just, the times we're in. So we have applied for ARPA match replacement for this grant, and we expect to find out at the same time we get our grant award what that will look like. So there's a potential that based on that the match cost share will be lower. So we don't want that to stand in your way of applying. We need to get your application in there and then know that the match won't be more than $6,000, but it's likely to be a little bit lower, hopefully. And then also you should know that we are looking at other ways to help you out with match. So in your application, there's a section where if you are unable to meet the match, we're asking for you to tell us what you might be able to contribute and then the reason for that. And then we're going to evaluate that as part of the grant review process. So we'll be looking at deciding on who gets what types of assistance based on need and strength of application. And then of course, just the availability of our funds. So, and then just wanted to mention this, I'd be remiss if I didn't. As a federal program, you should know there's rules and there's quite a few of them with Welcome English AmeriCorps for us to follow. And these include things like prohibited activities, which is a big deal with AmeriCorps since it's federal funds. Our members aren't allowed to do certain things. They can't, for example, they can't lead worship services. They can't try to influence voting or legislation and different types of fundraising. So that's a big one that we'll definitely get into more at host site orientation. And then there's some regarding non-displacement. So AmeriCorps members cannot take over a position, a job currently that or previously done by an employee. And also they cannot duplicate another role in your organization that maybe the state or local government provided in the past. Then it's subject to all the same EEO, ADA, discrimination, and drug-free workplace, just like a regular job site. So those are something, but we'll get into all those more at a later time though. Okay, so then what's next? We threw a ton at you. So just know that we're here to support you. We know there's a lot to this program, a lot to learn, but we want to help you make a program that works for your organization. And that first step would probably be to schedule a one-on-one meeting with Karen if you want, and to talk about how AmeriCorps could work for you. And then next, you can watch a recording. You can not only watch a recording for help with the application, but you can watch a recording of this presentation again if you missed something or want to rewatch, or if you want to send this on to someone else you think might be interested in hosting a member. So that'll be on our website as well. And then finally, you'll submit your application, and the application is currently on the website as a PDF. I will be working on turning that into a completable Google Doc form, but we just didn't make it in time for this webinar, but wanted you to have that application for you to take a look at. And like I said, that should be available hopefully tomorrow. And then go ahead and email your application to Elise Pate when you're completed, then we can take a look at them. So that's our whole presentation. Thanks so much for listening. We're so excited about this program. We've been working on it for, it seems like a very long time, and just wanted to let you know that, the funders are very excited about this opportunity as well. So they can't wait to see what we all do, and neither can I. So I guess I'll throw it back to Elise, and she is going to provide, I think if you have questions, we'll be available to answer those.
Yeah, we're just going to open up to questions now. So feel free to put them in the chat or Q&A. I can see both of those.
There is so much. There's a lot. I know you'll have questions, I'm sure.
Well, the good news is too, if you think of questions later, that's a great reason to sign up for a one-on-one session and ask Karen.
We either did an amazing job explaining.
There it is. There's one.
Oh, good question.
Who recruits students?
Oh, so would you guys want me to take that?
Go for it.
Okay, so students, as far as your ELL learners, that will still be, done at your host site. So members will be helping with that. So they'll be going out and doing outreach, and, we'll provide some marketing materials for you to use. And then the other thing we're planning to do is to create a network where we'll be doing referrals for students. So on our website, we're planning to get information and then be able to hook students up to programs that work for their schedules and for their geographic location. So that's in the works, but yeah, and then you can continue to recruit just like you always do as well. So any student that was in your programs in the past, it's seamless, we can just roll them automatically into this program as well. Does anybody else?
And if you're creating a new program, if this is going to be a new addition to, your services, I think that, was it Mita, the question came from, is from Waukee schools. So if you don't already have a pool of students, that would be a great reason to schedule a one-on-one with me, and we can explore different avenues for getting the word out. Definitely pulling on your ELL teaching team in your school district to share the opportunity. Usually they're the ones that know people who are in need. It's also a great idea to work with your local library and other local churches that might have programs going on in their church basement. So really the recruitment is going to be one of the easier pieces once we have these host sites established and spread the word in the community that these opportunities exist.
And if I may add something to that real quick, Karen, that would also be a good opportunity to try and meet the costs of having a member, would be to work with another organization, or we've even imagined other creative scenarios that could help meet those costs, such as like having a business sponsor, or really having a few groups come together to have multiple, it'd be a single host site, but multiple classes at different locations potentially. There is another question. Is there a minimum or maximum number of students needed for the program? Karen, we got your mute on. Very polite of you.
I was going to say, that's a really good question. Right now, we are committed to, as a program, to enrolling a total of 266 students. But how we break that down into each host site, we don't really haven't really put any minimums on that at this time. So yeah, no, there isn't really at this time. As many as possible. Yep. Anything else?
Well, I think if there are no other questions, I'll just throw it out there again, that this can seem really overwhelming at first, but we really, again, want to see these community-based English language learning programs succeed. If you have any hesitations or doubts or concerns about your organization's ability to carry this type of program forward, please reach out to us so we can talk through it and come up with creative solutions to provide this opportunity. And thank you, Karen, for running us through the nuts and bolts of AmeriCorps. We know that is, it can be complicated, but it's all for a very good cause. Thank you.
Well, it looks like everybody has either everyone's shy or there are not very many questions. I hope you'll invite others to consider being an AmeriCorps host site for this Welcome English program. It's really going to bring ELL to a new level, I think, when we start talking to people across the state. Thank you very much. You can reach out. I know, some of you know some of us and some of you know others of us. So please reach out to whomever you're most comfortable with and know the best to start the conversation, and we will follow up. This is a new program, so as you can tell, not all the kinks are worked out. We are doing that now, and really appreciate you spending an hour with us to learn more about Welcome English Iowa. All right, from all of us, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from all of you.